Is a this hearing will
Good
begin.
morning. Good morning. Welcome to the New York City Council vote on the Committee on Housing and Building. At this time, please silence all electronics and do not approach the dais. Chair, you may begin.
Thank you. I'm going to use a stapler gavel. Good morning. I am Councilmember Pierina Sanchez, Chair of the Committee on Housing and Buildings. Today, we are voting on proposed intro number 391A, sponsored by Councilmember Keith Powers in relation to studying sidewalk shed designs and improving the aesthetics of existing sidewalk sheds. Proposed intro 393A, sponsored by Councilmember Powers in relation to penalties for sidewalk sheds in the public right-of-way. Proposed intro number 394A, sponsored by Councilmember Powers in relation to exterior wall inspection requirements. Intro number 660A, also sponsored by Councilmember Eric Botcher in relation to the required lighting under sidewalk sheds. And proposed intro number 661A, sponsored by Councilmember Botcher in relation to penalties for failing to complete facade repairs in a timely manner. I want to give everyone listening a bit of historical context on how we got here today. The current system for facade inspections in New York City, or FISP, was created after the tragic death of Grace Gold in 1979. Grace was a student at Barnard College and was fatally struck by a piece of masonry that fell from the 7th floor of a Manhattan building. The incident and tireless advocacy from her sister, Lori Gold, prompted the passage of Local Law 10 of 1980, which created cyclical inspections of facades taller than 6 stories, and later Local Law 11 of 1998 solidified the current facade inspection and safety program. Lori is with us here today. I understand she made the trip all the way from Washington, D.C. to see these bills passed. And so Lori, your work to keep your sister's memory alive is incredibly inspiring, and I want to offer you my gratitude as chair of this committee for your advocacy and your presence. Thank you so much. Facade inspections are crucial to keep New Yorkers safe. Yet the current system allows for the unchecked proliferation of sidewalk sheds, with New York City currently home to approximately 378 miles worth of sidewalk sheds. Together, these bills are another step toward ensuring that sidewalk sheds remain in place for only the necessary amount of time by encouraging building owners to complete repairs in a timely manner, while also moving us towards safe, aesthetically pleasing, and cost-effective sidewalk shed alternatives. Today, we'll also be voting on proposed resolution number 119A by Councilmember Crystal Hudson, calling on New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign A1621 and Senate Bill 4098 in relation to prohibiting property owners from filing eviction proceedings for tenants who reside in buildings with substantial pending housing maintenance code violations. Proposed resolution number 246A by Councilmember Sandy Nurse, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign legislation requiring unlawful eviction cases to be heard within 5 days. And proposed resolution 524A by Councilmember Kevin Riley, calling on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Senate Bill 126 in relation to legal representation in certain mortgage foreclosure actions. These three resolutions call upon our state partners to continue creating vital protections for homeowners and tenants alike. I cannot see who is in the room at this very moment, so I'm going to leave it to the committee clerk to call the roll. But I also want to shout out former Deputy Mayor Meera Joshi, whose tireless advocacy also allowed us to move forward on these sidewalk shed bills. I will now invite Councilmember Powers to speak on his bills, followed by Councilmember Botcher.
Thank you, Chair Sanchez, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about my package of bills to reform scaffolding in our city. I think if you ask any New Yorker or anyone that's visited this city, the hunter green, scaffolding that litters our streets and takes up our space and our skylines, I think everyone is welcome to finally see less of it. Everyone is very happy to see less of it. It has been business for usual in this city for miles and miles of sidewalk sheds that cover our city. There are stretches of places in Manhattan where for miles, the entire neighborhood is covered in scaffolding. With this legislation, I'm proud to say the City Council is finally taking steps to modernize the city's approach to sidewalk sheds. As we know, they're important to keeping New Yorkers safe as buildings undergo construction and facade inspections, but more often than not, work slows, repairs drag on, and the scaffolding is left for months or even years, and sometimes decades on end with no work in sight. We have over 1,000 sidewalk sheds in the city right now that have been up for over 3 years, each one becoming a permanent blight on our urban landscape. And here in Manhattan, which carries a lion's share of the burden, 45% of the 8,516 sidewalk shed permits are right here in Manhattan. I want to just highlight a few pieces of this that I think are really, really important. Number one is a key provision of this bill is to make sure that when they go up, we actually have a process to know the work's being done and that they finally come down. And we're asking folks to actually tell us what work is being done so we don't have scaffolding languishing up for years with no sight of actually any work. We're also going to talk about changing the one-size-fits-all approach to every single building in the city. The original approach was to do a 5-year, no matter what the building is, no matter when it was built, no matter what material was made of, approach to this. We're actually offering relief to that today. We're allowing for up to 12 years and starting at 6 years for buildings now in the city at the discretion of the Department of Buildings to come up with new criteria to actually say that a new building and a very old building might be treated quite differently. And importantly, to the actual lived experience for so many New Yorkers, we're going to change the design and partnering with Council Bratcher to add some new lighting and bright lighting underneath it so they're no longer dark alleyways, to raise the height of them so you're no longer claustrophobic when you're walking inside of them. And some good news that the Hunter Green is no longer the official color of New York City. We're going to allow for a lot new colors to be used, including the actual color of the building and many others that will make our landscape look a lot nicer. For our small businesses, this is a new opportunity for New Yorkers to actually see your business and not to be buried under scaffolding for sometimes a decade, totally at the whim of the building owner. For public safety, especially in our public housing complexes where there's far too much of it, we're actually going to change our rules so there's going to be less overall, but specifically in our public housing to have less needed. So it's actually where you actually need it, where the work is being done, rather than making the entire campus filled with it. Where I live in Stuyvesant Town right now, we have scaffolding all over the neighborhood because of the really burdensome rules that exist today. For people that walk down the street, they're actually going to start to see sunlight and the skyline and be able to enjoy their city once again. But if it is up, they're going to have a safe block to walk down to make sure that they can see, that it's safe, and that we can actually have a street that is welcoming to all of us. And for people that enjoy this city, they should be able to witness it with their own eyes rather than being buried underneath it. And for property owners and people that are own property here throughout our districts, we're actually going to get relief them of the cost and the endless need to do the inspection cycles every 5 years. And for new buildings that go up, imagine having to do a 5-year cycle after you just built the building. We're going to change those rules too. So I'm deeply appreciative of the staff here from the Buildings Committee and the City Council who worked with us endlessly to negotiate these bills. I want to thank Haley and Ben and Emma from my team, who, as I said earlier, probably never want to hear the word scaffolding ever again after a 2-year plus long crusade to try to get it down. I want to thank Councilmember Botcher and Borough President Levine and all our colleagues who stepped up to get the scaffolding down. And I want to thank, as we mentioned earlier, it's critical to all of this is still safety, making sure that New Yorkers are safe when they walk down the street. And, just a few decades ago, the tragedy that began this, it was something that reminded New Yorkers of our need for safety. And I just want to welcome Grace Gold's sister here, Lori Gold. She just stands up, who's with us and joined us. Stand up quickly, who worked with us. Who worked with us on these bills because we wanted to make sure that we honored her sister's memory throughout all of this, to keep New York safe and to make New Yorkers feel safe, while also understanding that we have to continue to modernize our laws and make New York City a beautiful place. So thank you for being with us in your work, and I encourage all my colleagues to vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Powers, and congratulations. It's been a very, very long way to get here on these bills, but your leadership has been steadfast. and I'm very proud to support you in this journey to get these passed. Councilmember Botcher, you
Thank
may
you
now
so
speak on the bills.
much. Thank you so much, Chair Sanchez. I really want to congratulate Councilmember Keith Powers on this huge accomplishment and thank him for his leadership on this issue. He pulled us together from day one and really helped lead the charge on this issue. To my mind, there are a few issues that all New Yorkers can agree on, very few issues, people of both political parties. One is people who don't pick up after their dogs. I think that's like a universal hatred New Yorkers have. The other is the fact that 300 plus miles of sidewalks are covered by scaffolding. And for some, they're up years and years and years. And New Yorkers have just been told, like, that's the way it is. This is how it is. And never mind the fact that when you travel around the world, you don't see it like this. This is New York, and this is how we're going to do it. My colleagues and I haven't been okay with that. So we've been looking at this, what could be changed to maintain safety, but also improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods, make it better for small businesses who are hurt by these, make it better for neighborhoods who are made less safe by these. And we're passing bills today that'll do just that. One of my bills will establish time limits for property owners to do the work. No more leaving your shed up forever with no consequence. There will be a time limit to pull the permits, a time limit to do the work. If you need more time, you'll just have to get permission. And there are sometimes when there are circumstances where they'll need more time, you'll just have to get a waiver, but no more leaving it up forever without consequence. The other bill I have will change the lighting requirements underneath the sheds. You may have heard that gay men hate overhead lighting. That is true. I'm one of those. The only overhead lighting that I actually like is in sidewalk sheds. That's the only time I like it to be bright overhead. Otherwise, it's lamps only. My bill will increase the lighting requirements under the sidewalk sheds, increase the lumens per watt, and require the LED strips, not these old light bulbs that you see. We're also going to have, it requires some shielding to make sure it points down and not into people's windows. Simple stuff that will go a long way. Thank you, everyone who is part of this.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Botcher. Learn something new every day. Thank you so much. I will now ask the clerk to call the roll. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. Are any other colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will now ask the clerk to call the roll.
Good morning, William Martin Committee. Good morning.
We currently have an assault down there. It's very.
William Martin Committee Clerk, roll call vote, Committee on Housing and Buildings. All items are coupled. Chair Sanchez.
Yaya and I vote aye on all. Congratulations.
Thank you. Feliz.
Aye on all. Congratulations, colleagues.
Thank
Great
you.
work.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Abreu.
Aye.
Thank you. Wrestler.
Aye, and congrats.
Dinowitz.
Although the lighting may not be to Eric's liking, I vote aye on all.
Aviles.
Thank you, colleagues, for your work. This is really important. Vote aye on all.
Hudson.
Aye, and congrats.
With a vote of 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions, all items have been adopted by the committee. Madam Chair, that is a full committee.
Thank you so much, clerk, and thank you to my colleagues. This hearing is adjourned.